Yeah, are we gonna start, or am I just sitting here jerking off?
All
I
right.
mean, are you? That might be information we need to know ahead of time.
You don't need to know.
Leon's jerking off is on a need-to-know basis.
I can do this show with no hands.
Okay. Seriously though, I had a conversation. The person I had this conversation with asked me not to tell you guys, but I'm doing it anyway because I'm awesome.
I insist you tell us.
So, I don't know how this started. We were talking about apparently somewhere in America, some guy I guess he's on a train or a bus or something. He ejaculated all over like a 16-year-old girl.
Nice.
And then she went to the police and was like, this guy ejaculated on me in public. And I guess it went to court, and it turned out there's nothing you can do because there's no law, and I don't know if it's that state or in the country about ejaculating on people. It's just not a thing we have.
Surely that's got to be at least indecent exposure and or sexual harassment or something that.
Maybe he had a blanket over it.
This is the crux of the conversation. I was confused because I really need to know for my personal mental health who I can and cannot ejaculate upon.
It's pretty important.
I feel like there shouldn't be any gray area there.
It seems like it would be something that is pretty rigidly defined by laws and social norms. I mean, you know.
Well, I thought I knew where the ejaculate line was, but apparently I did not. I don't know if it's different in Canada or, it's state by state, but my worldview has been shaken.
I wish I could educate you on our ejaculation laws up in Canada, but I'm afraid it's a subject that I have not had the opportunity to investigate to any real depth.
Wait, what do you mean, like, all over the girl? I mean, how much ejaculate does this guy have? He must have been really... I mean, there's like a tablespoon that comes out, really. I mean...
I didn't actually investigate the volume of said fluid involved.
I'm sorry, but it just seems like at most you're gonna get like a bottle cap full. You can't exactly paint the garage with it.
Did I mention it was a 16-year-old girl? I don't think it matters how much. You can't just go ejaculating on minors.
No, I'm just saying. You said all over the girl. It's like at most it might get on your thumb. I'm not saying she shouldn't have complained. I just feel like we need to address just.
You're like, suck it up.
How much jizz exactly can get on you at any time?
What I want to know, Austin, is that you mentioned that somebody told you not to tell us this. Who were you conversing with that was like, by the way, don't tell these guys, but...
Because,
Was it the person who got ejaculated on? I don't mean to be rude, but...
No, this is like actual like news.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm not sure that's actually news.
Oh, was it the person who did the ejaculating?
No.
Because that would make sense. They would not want you to
tell. Okay, guys. You guys, I think you're missing the forest for the penis here.
Yeah, well, what are you trying to tell us?
I just want to know who I can ejaculate on. That's just all I want to know.
I call not it.
Well, that puts me in a really awkward position, doesn't
it? I didn't mean specifically you. I'm just saying if I'm in public. Let's role reversal. If I'm in public and someone ejaculates on me, can I be angry at them? Are they within their rights?
I'm not sure that this is a matter for the ACLU. I don't know if this is exactly a rights issue, so much as maybe privilege. I don't know. Is that freedom of expression? Would that fall under freedom of speech?
I can only imagine if it is one day the president will come on TV and say, our brave men and women are dying overseas for your right to ejaculate on a 16-year-old girl. It's in the Constitution. I will spray you like a water hose at a civil rights protest. For liberty.
Okay. I'm trying to remember there was something else about the whole situation that I was trying to recall that I wanted your guys' opinions on. Because I was like...
There's more? Great.
How much more complicated can this situation get?
Because I wanted to Google more about the news story, but I was afraid to type in ejaculate on 16-year-old girl into Google.
That's not really something that you want to go to the internet with.
Yeah, so I don't know how to get more information about the story.
I'm Googling it right now.
Okay.
Leon, always taking the hit. What a magnificent man.
I wrote ejaculated on girl news. Let's see what happens.
Oh, I don't think you're gonna get what you think you're gonna get.
Actually, it's just news. Yahoo News, OC Weekly. Let me go to here. Hold on.
Because I was saying, I think I remember a story where someone like spit on a cop and they got arrested. So it's like, if you can spit on someone, but maybe it's just a cop, and I was like, can you ejaculate on cops? And then and then the conversation veered towards, can I go around ejaculating on police? And then the conversation ended because I was in trouble.
It seems to me that if you ejaculate on a police officer, you are courting more trouble than it's actually worth.
It's definitely illegal somewhere, because I just found a story that says man sentenced for ejaculating on unsuspecting sunbathers in Windsor and Odell Parks. This is from the Fredericton News Channel. And it was
Fredericton?
Yeah.
So there you go. You cannot ejaculate on people in Fredericton.
Never. Apparently, they don't even give you a warning. You just can't at all. There's no 3 strikes rule for ejaculating on someone.
What about misfire? I wonder how they feel about premature.
I feel like if you're wearing pants, without holes in them, there won't be an issue. But I could be wrong. Oh, it says semen was recovered from the victim's hair. Why the hair? You never the hair.
That's just rude.
I guess if we're gonna walk away with any lesson from the podcast today, it's gonna be never the hair.
Never.
No, I don't know. I think when it comes down to it, I think it's more important not to get it in the eye. If you have to choose between eye or hair.
That happened to me once, but it was my own. It comes at you fast. It stings like hell.
Okay, well, Leon knows what I'm talking about then.
I know full well.
Okay, well, this happened.
Yeah.
I was almost impressed.
I can't do this. I'm trying. I want to find that story now because I don't want you guys to think I made this up for comedy. Although it was good comedy.
It's in Huffington Post. Ashley Clevenger claims Gregory Davis ejaculated on her feet during massage at Kansas Gold's Gym. You can't do that anywhere, apparently. This happens a lot. All right, I'm going to stop talking about this now. We should talk about we should get started.
Okay, well, now we have 5 minutes of free credit material.
Okay.
Leon's like, what? You can't get away with nothing.
All right.
Oh, never mind. I just keep finding more.
That happens.
Subway grinder who ejaculated on 14-year-old girl has an excuse.
What?
Maybe it was 14. Maybe that is her.
And his excuse was, the train be crowded. in fairness, it is.
Somebody had to get it. I guess it was a 14-year-old girl.
Oh, Jesus.
He
says he won't do it anymore. I mean, he's obviously remorseful.
Yeah. I can really, sense the pain in that statement. The train be crowded.
Yeah. Oh, I think here's the story, because I just searched what he just said, and it says Subway pervert grinding ejaculating isn't a felony. Says New York's highest court.
Huh.
So it looks like it's in New York. Yeah. The Court of Appeals dismissed a felony indictment against Jason Mack, blah blah blah, who rubbed himself against a 14-year-old girl. So yeah, I think this was the story. It was 14. So at least in New York.
Yeah, in Kansas, and wherever that other place was.
You hear that, New York?
No, in New Yorkers it's okay, but Kansas, no.
That's the line.
I guess.
So, do you guys want to go on a business trip to New York?
I think Leon's already going.
Leon's out the door. He's in New Jersey, right? So he can get there.
He can nip over there, get into the subway, pop a quick one off, and then come back and do the rest of the podcast.
With editing magic, they won't even know he was gone.
Welcome, Caveman Podcast. Today episode, choose mate, clubbing bad or good? And later, fire! Big light from sky make fire! Austin?
Okay, that was pretty good. I don't know. Sometimes you suck at this, Johnny. That was a good one. I'm gonna give you that one.
Well, okay, thank you.
I'm not gonna do it in character. You know I don't play your stupid game. Leon, you want to talk like a caveman?
I'm Ringo Starr.
Oh, jeez.
Done.
I'm trying to say, in Johnny, in your head, did you picture this going on for like 2 minutes, where we were just like, video games?
No, not really. I mean, this one, pretty fast, to the point. You get it out quickly. It's kind of like, and then it's done.
What were those noises?
Those noises were the sounds that happen when I say things in my head.
You sound like you're in a little bit of pain there.
Me? No more than usual, at least, anyways.
So, yeah, video games.
That's a thing we talk about sometimes.
I feel kind of bad now, because like that was a good one, and we didn't actually use it. Do you want to start over, Johnny?
No, we just like do a new one?
I
No.
feel like I contributed the most, and now it's time to move.
Okay.
Do the old one over again? Because that doesn't happen, There was even. Do you remember that time where we had the fuck up? And we had to record the podcast the second time. No,
Yeah,
you never.
We lost that one.
You never use the same one twice. Not even when it's a lost episode. So
Even when I'm just gonna ignore your setup anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
exactly, like they get done. They serve a purpose. Its purpose has been served.
You've been served.
I have.
I thought that was what I was supposed to say. I was misled by popular culture.
Well, if I've been served, I need to know whether or not it's on.
It's on to the break of dawn.
It's on? I guess that means I better step up.
See, now you're just naming things. Those are like breakdance movies, right?
Albert Nobbs.
Never mind.
That's not a breakdance movie. You didn't see that one coming,
I
did you?
did see that one coming, no.
Right out of left field. That was a knuckleball is what that was. Is that a thing? Knuckleballs?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't play your stick bat ball.
You guys don't have baseball in Canada?
Yeah, we do. But, I mean, the Seattle Blue Jays haven't made the playoffs since, 1993. I know that because I was listening to the radio today.
You mean the Toronto Blue Jays?
Yes. What did I say? The Canada Blue Jays?
You said Seattle Blue Jays.
My mistake. The Toronto Blue Jays haven't made the playoffs since, 1993. I only know that because I heard it on the radio today.
Are you under the impression that Seattle is in Canada?
No, but it might as well be.
You used to have the Montreal Expos, but they got bought, and now they're the Washington Nationals. So
They're both pretty terrible names.
Well,
yeah, considering that the Expos were just named because Montreal got... I mean, like every other fucking city in the world, they had an Expo there, and it was like, oh, why do we name the baseball team the Expos?
Indeed. You know what I miss? I miss hockey.
You know what? That's the only reason why I know that the Toronto Blue Jays haven't been in the playoffs since, 93, was because... with the dearth of hockey news, you should listen to the sports guy on the radio show that I listen to when I'm driving home from work. Oh my God, I have never heard anybody so desperate for things to happen in my entire life. It is so sad. It's genuinely heartbreaking listening to this guy try and come up with. He's talked about high school sports. He's looking that hard for something that's going on. It's kind of a shame. I feel sort of sad for him. Hockey's a thing that they miss quite a bit in Canada.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. For all those hockey fans, the guys who like the ice skating and the stick handling and the power plays, which sounds a lot gayer than it actually is.
You sound disappointed, Johnny. You're like, I turned on hockey.
No, I'm a little disappointed just that, because I would really like to see, there actually be sort of an urban pseudonym or, pseudo meaning for making a power play. But it's really not that exciting at all. It's just 5 burly dudes on ice against 4 burly dudes on ice, I think. I guess if you don't count the goalies. I don't know. Don't ask me.
And that's why you review all of our sports games, Johnny.
You know it.
Speaking of video games.
Cricket and croquet and polo and water polo. Water polo 2013. I can't wait for that one. I'm kidding.
I don't even... Is there a cricket simulator? Is that a thing?
Probably. Somewhere. If there's Football Manager, then there's bound to be a cricket game out there somewhere.
Maybe it just doesn't come to America.
Yeah.
Anyway, video games.
I'm gonna say something, and I'm really desperately interested to hear it.
Who? What?
Me. You know, you were just gonna, you were speaking of, and
then,
okay, or some shit.
Leon, what are you playing, Leon?
Well, first of all, I want to apologize for not playing Street Fighter Cross Mega Man today. My controller is in Delaware. I have been, I shouldn't say stranded, that's not nice. I am longer than expectedly in New Jersey. And
You've been delayed. You've been delayed in New Jersey.
I have been delayed in New Jersey. I will be here another week. In between now and then, I will be briefly in Delaware to pick up some things, including the controller. I will be playing it. I did not get to play it today on the 25th anniversary of Mega Man, but I did play 2 games. I played Alan Wake a bit. I don't have much more to say about it. I finished Lollipop Chainsaw, and here's my final thought. I started off really liking it, and then it got kind of samey, and then it ended great. The last few levels, I think the third to last level is you're in an arcade, and basically you're stuck in a Pac-Man game, except it's not really Pac-Man, and you play elevator action, except it's not called elevator action, and you do Pong and all manner of things, and it's really a lot of fun, and afterwards there's the big final boss cathedral thing. And just because of level design, I guess, it really ended a lot better. Like, the last 3 levels are probably the best. So, any kind of, sameness that you get sort of in the middle, it's quickly turned on its head. So, I liked it, is what I'm trying to say. I definitely liked it. For a second there, I thought it was going to be like, oh no, a Suda51 game that I only kind of like. But, yeah, this was actually really good. You just have to hang on there for a little bit. But since it's a fairly short game, I guess some people could finish it in a few hours. It's not like you have to wait that long for the great stuff. And, also, Pac-Man Fever, the song, is in the game. So, I feel like that alone redeems it. So, that's how I feel. So those are the 2 games I've been playing. I will be playing the new Mega Man, and I will almost certainly be finishing up New Super Mario Bros. U tonight, I think, right after I'm done with this. And maybe I'll be playing Zombie U soon. But it's like I said, everything kind of got delayed by some various things that I won't go into right now. And that's it. There you go.
Wait, Leon, are you aware that there are multiple endings for Lollipop Chainsaw?
Yeah, I'm not playing it twice. I'm sorry. Even games I really like, I'm almost never going to go back and play them again.
I don't think you have to play the whole thing again. I think you just got to save all the classmates.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and play the whole thing over.
Oh, okay.
The classmates.
You weren't trying to do that along the way.
A little.
You're like, if I can.
Yeah, I mean, I do like getting, I guess, what one would consider a high score. It goes back to being an arcade kid, but no, I wasn't too obsessed with that. But yeah, as soon as I see those credits roll, I'm done. I have to move on to a new game. I have other things to do with my life. So yeah, that's what's going on. Someone's banging something in the other room. I don't know if you can hear that.
We just assumed it was you banging.
No, I do absolutely no banging during the podcast. Someone's hitting the wall. I'm in my in-laws' house right now.
Don't let them listen to this podcast.
They don't know. They don't know I do Renegade COD. They've never heard of Heart of Gaming.
That's for the best.
Like it is. I sort of insisted upon that to my wife. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I'm done. That's it.
Leo's like, can I go now? I have New Jersey.
No, I will be here for the remainder. I mean, I have no other games that I have.
I know.
Johnny, go.
Well, I played a couple of games this week as well, actually. I played. I got the second round of my Kickstarter donations. It seems like it's kind of kicking in. When I say second round, I really mean second entry, because I mean FTL was one. For those of you who find FTL, don't be surprised if you wander into a store and find a crew member named Johnny Maloney waiting to be hired, because that's a thing. I've been informed that exists in the game. That is me in there, just so you know. But I just gained beta access to another Kickstarter project I backed, known as Strike Suit Zero. And Strike Suit Zero is a space combat game that kind of bears a little bit of controller resemblance to Freelancer. I've talked about Freelancer on one of the past podcasts. Although it doesn't necessarily have to. It's kind of like it's sort of an interesting hybrid where it does actually have like joystick profiles, and you can choose to fly like in the cockpit and use your joystick and your throttle and all things like that, or you can kind of like fly outside the ship from behind and use the mouse to like direct and the keyboard to like roll the ship and things like that. And actually it does a really decent job of presenting the flight mechanics with the keyboard and mouse setup. And Strike Suit Zero is essentially, I'm gonna go ahead and call this, it's like fucking Robotech, man. Macross. You get this like transforming space robot ship gun shooty missile explodey boom thing. And you just fucking fly around space and shoot the shit out of everything. And like I said, it's only the beta right now, and as such, it's actually a little bit of an unstable build. It crashes on me pretty frequently, but I'm really looking forward to it. Actually, it's got like a really interesting style. There's a really cool, I really like the way the game controls. I like how accessible they've made it. Like I said, one of the biggest obstacles I think about getting into spaceflight games is the whole like you have a joystick or you die, like I've talked about some Free Space 2 mods and how awesome Free Space 2 is on the podcast, and it's really difficult to get into if you don't have a proper joystick. But Strike Suit Zero looks as though it's gonna actually like do quite well for people who don't actually have joysticks. If you're interested in having a look at it, like the Kickstarter obviously has closed, but if you're interested in having a look at it, if you kind of like spaceflight games, or you sort of like Robotech, Macross, transformy, robot-y, shooty, spacey, starry, missile-y thingies, you can just get it or have a look at www.strikesuitzero.com. That's no spaces or anything like that. Or just Google Strike Suit Zero. I think it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited for it. So I got to play that this week. And I played the first 2 episodes of The Walking Dead. And I really wish that somebody would write a zombie game that knows how to open the zombie apocalypse properly.
Are there any examples you can give of a proper zombie apocalypse opening?
In gaming, I'm not so sure.
No, in any media.
In any media, I think the beginning of 28 Days Later was pretty good.
It's been a long time since I've seen that. I'm partial to the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
The Dawn of the Dead remake? Yeah, actually, the Dawn of the Dead remake was pretty good too.
I mean, the movie falls apart later, but the opening was pretty effective.
Yeah, the zombie baby that totally jumped the rails. And I mean, I can't get over the fact how like they're all sitting down in this like totally secure mall. They've got so much food, and like one dude is like, "I want to leave," and everybody's like, "Yeah, okay, that sounds like a good idea." You're right. The movie does fall apart later, but yeah, the opening was really good for the Dawn of the Dead remake too. But like, it seems to me like The Walking Dead really banks on you knowing that you're playing a fucking Walking Dead game.
Well, you would assume from the title screen.
What I mean is that like, that you're already familiar with the source material, that you've seen the television show, you read the comics, like it banks so heavily on pre-existing knowledge, I think, of the actual, like work itself. Because the way it starts, it's just kind of like, look out! What happened? Fucking zombies everywhere. You know, like, it doesn't even skip a beat. There's no, there's not even, like, a little bit of dramatic tension in getting to the zombies everywhere bit.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like the premise of the series. You kind of go in with that expectation, just kind of cut the bullshit. But yeah, I mean,
it was. I felt it was a rocky beginning. I did feel it was a rocky beginning. But I mean, you know, like that aside, I'm not like, ooh, look at Johnny. He's gonna like hate on The Walking Dead. You know, like it did feel like a really rocky beginning for me. But that, like, once got past that, I'm really impressed so far. I am really impressed. I can see why it's garnered so much attention and so much affection from not just like adventure game fans, you know, but gamers everywhere, because it excels at doing what they've chosen to do, which is essentially, you know, tell a story. It is pure storytelling, and it's just like it does it wonderfully. You know, so much so that like one of the biggest problems that you have with adventure games, because historically speaking, adventure games are kind of like, you know, either you got action or you got story. And if you wanted story, you played an adventure game. You know, if you wanted action, you played Doom, and you'd read like one screen of text at the end, and like that was it. You know, if you wanted a plot, you had to go to an adventure game. But even in the past, you know, that storytelling, and even present day, I'm sorry to say, that storytelling falls victim to really obtuse puzzles and really like backwards kind of like, you know, game developer logic. It's like it's almost like logic that's exclusive to the industry, you know, where it's like, okay, pick up the apple, now attach the needle and thread to the apple and like throw it through the transom of the door in the school and lower the apple onto, you know, like the bird cage, so the bird like flips out and tries to eat the apple and knocks the cage over, and then the cage like, you know, crashes through the window. And when it's just like, you know, dude, you could have just like broken the window with like your elbow or a rock. You know,
vandalism.
to get it, yeah. You know, like it like adventure game has it's a particularly famous genre for having these like stupid, ridiculously obtuse puzzles that make no fucking sense, because it's like the game designer wants you to solve a problem, but they want you to solve a problem the way they envision it.
Put gem in mouth.
Yeah, put gem in mouth. You know, it can really like it can really hamstring the rhythm of plot, the way a narrative gets told. And in the first 2 episodes of The Walking Dead, I have not yet come across a puzzle or a problem where they are obviously forsaking the narrative to include this like bizarre puzzle that it's just kind of like, you know, it makes no sense to have, but, you know, the guy thought it up and was like, this is kind of wacky and funny. You know, like they are really focusing on the storytelling, and it shows, and they are telling a really great story, and the way they tell it is compelling. I like it that they're not afraid to be mature, that they're not afraid to like throw gore and swear words and mature situations. You know, like there are scenes where like you have to. In the second episode, there was a scene very early on where a guy got caught in a bear trap, and, you know, you have to decide what you're going to do with him. And I was like, okay, let's try and free him. And it very quickly became apparent to me that the only way to do that was to chop the guy's ankle off. And it would be very easy for a development studio to just be like, you know, have it happen off screen, have like some gory noises going on, you know, and just be like, ooh, okay, you know what's happening. But not only does it like happen right in front of your eyes, you have to take like several swings at this guy's leg with this axe, because it just doesn't come cleanly off in one. It's like click, and he's like, oh God, oh my God, my leg, oh God, and you're just kind of like, okay. 2?
It, like, minor spoilers, but that's something they kind of try to do with Heavy Rain. There's a scene where you have to do some bodily mutilation, and it doesn't kind of flinch at it. But I don't know. I haven't played The Walking Dead yet, but I'd hope it's handled a little bit better, because I feel like they didn't quite pull it off in Heavy Rain.
No, I remember the scene that you're talking about in Heavy Rain. And I do kind of think so. You know, like there's because we talk about Heavy Rain in the past not knowing what it wants to be. It doesn't know if it wants to be a game or if it wants to be a movie, and it winds up being a really shitty movie and a really shitty game by basically ignoring aspects of both of those to kind of like hit this middle road of terrible. But The Walking Dead, like, it very, very clearly is like, yeah, we want to tell a story, you know? And they do. They tell that story pretty well, I think. Like, it doesn't trap you in these horrible, like, gameplay-based sort of mini-games or situations unless it serves an advantage to the plot so far. At least I'm seeing. You know, I still have, like, I think 3 episodes left to play. Mm-hmm. So... But I'm really enjoying it so far. I think it's probably Telltale's best adventure game yet. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see what that's, you know, what that holds for me in the future. And that's really all that I played this week that was new. You know, I got some time to like pick up a couple of old titles that I'm still sort of futzing around with, like Saints Row the Third, Skyrim. There was one other game that I played this week, but I can't remember what it was. Yeah. Do not remember. So that's a thing. Austin.
Yeah.
I hear you played all the games.
I played quite a few games. I don't know which one to transition into because your setup was perfect. The Walking Dead, which is a zombie game with a strong focus on narrative. I played 2 games. One was a zombie game, and one had a strong focus on narrative. Which one do you want to transition into?
Why don't we go with zombies? Go with the zombies.
Okay, so I believe we talked about this game on a previous episode, at least touched on it. Can you remind us, Johnny, if you can, how you felt about Dead Island?
Yes, Dead Island. I was of 2 minds when it came to Dead Island. Like, you know, I couldn't really decide whether or not it was like an ambitious game that just kind of like fell short in some really crucially annoying areas, like weapon maintenance, for example, where it's like, here you have this butcher knife, this cleaver, and you hit like 5 people with it, and it's like, oh, that knife's no good anymore, it's broken. And it's no, I've handled a cleaver before. They're pretty hefty, and it's like no. You know, and like it's wacky, but then like the second mind, I'm kind of like, wow, this is kind of like hilariously bad. You know, like all these wacky, weird, fucking like weapons that you're making, and the absolutely inexcusably horrible plot, and acting, and like, you know, ridiculous caricatures, and you know, like it steps in just about every single possible B like horror movie hole that you can imagine. You know, from its like stereotypical characters to like really bad one-liners and terrible like player agency, and like, you know, it's got great environments, and you know, like but just it was either good for all the wrong reasons, or like, you know, bad for all these like little niggling complaints. It's a strange game. It's a strange game.
Yeah, I wasn't actually even planning on playing it until they revealed Riptide, which is the sort of sequel that they're making, and in case I have to review it, I decided I'd just bite the bullet and play Dead Island. I agree with some of the things you're saying. I think it's pretty clear that it was developed by Techland, which I believe is a Polish like AA developer. They don't have quite the backing to make a fully realized open world game that isn't glitchy as all hell.
Yeah.
The game is a buggy, gross-looking mess a lot of the time, and even with all the patches, it's problematic. There's all kinds of texture problems, as you mentioned. The voice acting is terrible. The cutscenes are janky. It's ugly, but it is fun, which I think is an important thing to recognize. It's kind of like a Dead Rising that takes itself way too fucking seriously, where you spend a lot of time wandering around and making ridiculous melee items. The difference between...
it should be said, just as a quick side note, that the mod community for it on PC is fucking hilarious.
I'd imagine. But I mean, the difference between Dead Rising though is like the zombies are kind of like cannon fodder. You can just mow through hundreds of them. Whereas in Dead Island, you can get killed by like one or two if you're just not looking in the right direction because they hit really hard.
Yep.
So there is an actual sense of danger, and I enjoyed that. But for me, any kind of praise I could give the game for just being mindless fun kind of fell away when I don't know if is this spoilers. They start introducing people with guns to fight.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's spoilers. Whatever.
No, it's not really spoilers.
Okay, the game does not have the chops to be a first-person shooter, and it basically becomes I don't want to say like unplayable, but the latter half of the story is not worth getting to. Like it
gets terribly unpleasant.
Yeah.
It becomes more of a chore than a romp.
Yeah. And there are at least 2 rape subplots. Like, what the fuck? I don't know. It doesn't have anywhere as near the gravitas it thinks it does. So I don't know. I was really uncomfortable with a lot of the things that I was trying to do. But when I could just kind of like turn my brain off and run around using an electrified samurai sword to kill zombies, that was fine. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you have any hope for Riptide? Do you think they're gonna shore some of that shit up, or do you think it's just gonna be kind of a cash in?
I don't know. Yeah, so it seems to me like it started development too quickly after it released, which says to me that they didn't really look at or maybe listen to any of the problems that the original Dead Island might have had before they were like, we're going to make another one.
Well, I think it's pretty clear that they had no idea what they're like, oh god, this trailer went viral. Everybody's looking at us. What do we do? So, I mean, I don't even blame them for kicking it out the door and starting a second one. It's like a once-in-a-lifetime chance, basically.
Yeah, I recognize that, and there's no problem with kind of like following up like that, but I do get the feeling that perhaps they rushed into making a sequel before they actually fully grasped how players were receiving the original Dead Island, if that makes any sense to you. So I don't think it's gonna. We talk on this podcast a lot about game development companies not necessarily knowing where the strengths in their product are, and I think that the proximity of Riptide's impending release to Dead Island's release last year, it was a 2011 game, wasn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so its proximity, Riptide's proximity to the release of its predecessor, speaks to this dreadful feeling I have that, yeah, they didn't really look critically at their own product or how it was received. They just kind of went, whoa, I guess we should make another one of these.
And it's my understanding that they sold the film rights to the trailer, which has nothing to do with the game.
Yeah.
So I think there's some clear PR and marketing wizardry abound here, where it's basically just keep shilling out the shoddy open world games while we actually try to capitalize on that lightning in a bottle thing we did.
Yeah, so I can't say that I have high hopes for Riptide, but I'm perfectly willing to be pleasantly surprised on that front.
Yeah, does Techland have any like solid releases? Like, I feel like everything I know from them is pretty contentious.
I don't think there's anything that's really achieved a kind of a unanimous following or a unanimous feeling from critics and gamers alike. I rather enjoyed the Call of Juarez games, at least the first one. I haven't played the second one to any real detriment. But I felt that the original Call of Juarez had a pretty good flavor to it. It offered a variety of gameplay. It wasn't the greatest game I played. It wasn't, the greatest Western I played. It wasn't the best first-person shooter that I played. But it had heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. I appreciate that in games. I appreciate, at least like a substance of effort. And yeah, the only other one I know that they did was Bound in Blood, which it struck me as being absolutely bizarre that it didn't have co-op multiplayer. Like that I might be mistaken, but I'm fairly.
It's funny that you mentioned co-op multiplayer, because when I was playing Dead Island, it struck me that what you said about the original Borderlands.
Yep.
Which is just, co-op, four players with your friends. It's just a platform to make your own fun, but the game itself is shoddy. That's kind of how I feel about Dead Island. Like, if you just got some buddies together and you just went zombie killing, that's fine.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you, and I do kind of think that it sort of does fail in that respect. Like, I can't really decide. If you sat me down and you're like, haha, you have to play the original Borderlands or Dead Island, I'm not sure which one I would choose.
I think when it comes down to it, I would choose Borderlands, because at least it has a sense of humor about itself.
Yep.
Where Dead Island, I will give Dead Island credit though. Some of the damage they did for the zombies, like when you hit them and the arm comes off or you tear away skin and stuff, that's pretty impressive. It was my understanding that the tech was actually even better before, but they kind of scaled it back. But that was some impressive stuff, but it's not enough when it comes down to it. I think Borderlands
doesn't save the game.
Yeah. Other game I played, I finished Kirby Mass Attack. I mentioned that last week. It was a good game. I think when it comes down to the Kirby DS games, I preferred Canvas Curse, mostly because Mass Attack, before you can fight the final boss, you have to collect all the rainbow coins in every level. And I'm not a big fan of like forced 100% completion.
Yep.
I prefer that to be an optional extra thing, but it's still a good game.
I feel like we're missing an arm. Leon can't talk to you about Kirby.
I don't know. Leon never played much Kirby, so he has a hole in his Nintendo knowledge, and I'm very ashamed of him.
Yeah.
For our listeners, Leon had to step out. He had places to be.
Some things.
We're not important enough. This makes me sad.
Yeah, I feel really bad because I can't nerd out with you over Nintendo stuff now.
Aw. Well, the other game I played, it was a portable game, so he wouldn't have had much to contribute anyway. It is a game you might have heard of, Johnny. It's called...
Is it called 3D Game Heroes?
No.
Oh.
But I did pick that up, and I'm going to beat it before Leon.
Yeah.
It's 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors.
I have heard about this. This is one of those interactive novelty thingy-mabobbers that the Japanese make in their story.
Yeah, it's a visual novel.
Visual novel, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, it is very much like an old-school adventure game, but with a lot more text.
Yeah, so like a choose-your-own-adventure book with pictures.
With puzzles, yeah.
Puzzles, picture puzzles.
Puzzles. This game blew my tiny little mind in a lot of ways. The general premise is something you've seen probably before. There's Saw or Cube, I believe. Isn't that the name of that film? Cube?
Yeah, there's a movie called Cube.
It's just several strangers awake in a place. They don't know what's going on. They have to figure it out. But
there are traps everywhere that kill people and make them into smaller cubes.
The cube part isn't here, but instead we have math and logic puzzles, that's a thing. Which is interesting. Before I get too much into the story, I will say that if I had to describe the puzzles of 999, I would say it's like Resident Evil without all the bullshit. If you play the old Resident Evil games, you always had to find the gem and you had to put it in the slot. You get the rooster key and then bring it to the chessboard and move the king, and then the king gives you a cow. And then you have to take, the cow hieroglyph and then put it into the Egyptian wall that spits out a Victorian daguerreotype of a woman who's shaving a sheep. And then you have to, get the sheep scroll that goes into the frog box. Now you're just naming animals.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's the point. It's like you go, there's the earth key, and that opens the earth door, and inside there's a crank you got to attach to the winch that you pull. It's all that kind of.
The Resident Evil 2 had the most convoluted fucking police station I've ever seen in, I can only imagine the utter distress if you ran into that fucking police station looking to make, a report. Be like, help, somebody's chasing me with a gun. Someone would be like, well, first you need to fill a report. And it's like, okay, well, where do I do that? And it's like, okay, take this dagger key. You must traverse through the wall of fire in order to get to the wire door.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I never actually thought about it that much. The old Resident Evils, as much as we hold them up in kind of esteem, they are a little bit silly upon
I'm
retrospect.
sorry, like they were pretty fucking ridiculous games.
But here's the thing about 999 is narratively all of this is justified, including, and this is the bit that makes the whole thing like amazing, the multiple endings of the game are narratively justified. I can't explain it without spoiling it, but a game having multiple endings is a gameplay mechanic in the story. Like it's perfect. I can't even explain it, but
one of the ex-editors that we had on Blistered Thumbs, Jeffrey Few was his name, a local boy in relation to me, swears by 999. It's like one of his favorite games of all time.
It's really good. It's so ballsy of the things it tries. I won't say it's perfect because it's not. To get to my I don't even want to call them complaints. The things that I could say about it that aren't glowing praise, perhaps. I have to kind of get there in the way I played it. So I've mentioned before on this podcast, at least when I talked about Dust and Elysian Tale, that I am an absolute...
That you love furries?
Yeah, I love furries. Now, that I'm kind of a terrible person to watch movies or play games with because I'm always guessing like plot twists. Like I've ruined movies for my friends just from the trailers before. Like I'm a lifetime of analyzing media has made me kind of savvy to these things.
I did that for The Sixth Sense.
Well, that's the thing. This game has a Sixth Sense twist. But the way I got to it was interesting because when I played the game the first time, I knew there were multiple endings. I just didn't know how they worked. So when I got to my ending, I called it. I knew halfway through the game, I knew who was responsible. I knew how they did it. I knew why they did it, and I was feeling all good about myself. And then it was like, is this the end? Play again to get a different ending. So I was like, whatever, I'll show you game. And I went through it again, and I got the best ending, the one that explained everything. And I had no idea what was going on. It almost stretches the suspension of disbelief, the way the true ending goes down. Like I'm not gonna hold it against the game because it's so fucking audacious.
I'm kind of like sorry, indulge me for a second here. I have a small question. Do all of the multiple endings, do all of them kind of follow the same lore setup? Do they all adhere to the same explanation?
It's hard to talk about with getting into spoilers. But
what I mean is that like you can have like multiple endings to a certain game.
Are you asking if it's like Clue? Is that what you're asking?
Well, yeah, basically like you get to the end and it's like this guy did it, no this guy did it, and then this guy did it, or
yeah, it's not a Clue ending. There is one thing that happened, but there are different ways that thing can happen.
Okay, so it's sort of like the way that you experience the ending changes. But most of the facts surrounding the ending stay intact.
Here's a minor spoiler for one of the worst endings.
Minor spoiler.
Yeah. Okay. You skip ahead a minute if you don't want this, but this isn't a super big spoiler. Okay. If you go a certain way, you could be walking down a hallway and just get stabbed in the back and die.
That happens to me like all the time.
I'm just saying, and that character will have been the same character who is behind it in the other storylines, but you won't know that. It'll be like, oh, you failed, you died, start the game over, figure out what happened. But
right.
So the facts around it don't change, but the outcome of the story can change. And that's that's basically like the UFO ending of Silent Hill or anything. That's not like something if you play this game you have to worry about it just killing you off and saying fuck you, because it's not that kind of game.
Now I have the UFO song from Silent Hill 2 stuck in my head.
That's amazing.
Or is it? No, it's 3. Sorry. The UFO song from Silent Hill 3.
I just kind of wanted to stress that as someone who's very media savvy, as someone who guessed everything up to a certain point and was like, oh, I knew how that person did it. I was on top of that. And then the real ending came along. And even though it was foreshadowed, I don't want to pretend like it came out of nowhere. It is so ridiculous that I don't know if it counts against the game. It's hard to say. It's one of those things. I'm going to play the sort of sequel. It's called Virtue's Last Reward. It's like a similar premise, and there are like 1 or 2 returning characters, but it's not a direct sequel. But 999 is an absolute must play if you have any interest in visual novels, or even if you have a DS. You have to even if just to say this isn't for me, it is the best thing this genre has ever produced, in my opinion. And I've played quite a few visual novels, at least the ones that have been localized, because it is kind of a very niche thing in America. But it's just like they didn't need to go to so much effort to make it as awesome as they did, and they fucking went there, and it's I can't stop thinking about it. I beat it like a couple of days ago, and it's like I keep thinking about it.
That's a pretty glowing recommendation.
It is. It's kind of like the opposite of El Shaddai, which I talked about last week, which was so super esoteric that I couldn't recommend it despite it being awesome. And this is like, even if there are things you like, oh, you don't like reading, or you don't like anime art style or something, it's like I don't give a shit. You need to play this game. Like, that
was just like right there when you're like, oh, you don't like reading. That was like a very, very, very deep stab in my heart. Like that just very hopelessly for a moment there, I realized that there are people out there that don't like reading. I'm like, oh.
I mean, Johnny, you and I, we write a lot of things, so I think we are in the minority here. I think most people have an aversion to reading that we are unfamiliar with.
I know. It's something that I don't have to face down on a daily basis. But, when I come face to face with that fact, when people are like, books? Fuck that. I'm like, oh.
I give our audience credit. I feel like people who would listen to a video game podcast have the attention span and the intelligence, perhaps, to go through a visual novel. But for your average Joe Schmo Americano, I'm not super confident that they could sit the 6 hours to get to the end of the game.
Yeah.
Let me play it again. Although there's like a fast forward feature once you play like New Game Plus, so you don't have to sit through any duplicate dialogue. Just get to the points where it branches and be like, oh, instead of doing that. But I once again have to stress that everything. It's like we talked about this in Assassin's Creed, where anything that happens, you'd be like, oh, that's an Animus glitch.
Yeah.
There's a mechanic in 999 where everything makes video game sense, and those things because they justify the medium. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of games could be anything. Call of Duty could be a movie, it could be a book, it could be a song, whatever. You could think patriotism.
They just so happen to choose video games.
Yeah, but 999 really couldn't be anything else without losing part of it. Like I know there are actually off the top of my head, there's a movie with a similar premise. It would be actually spoilers for 999 to say which movie, but it just doesn't work because it's not a game, and it's a perfect expression of this idea. So I think I've talked about it quite enough. If you haven't played it, you should, and if you have, fucking A, right? Holy crap! I'm really looking forward to playing the sequel, which is on Vita and 3DS. So that's if you have a Vita. And you're
whoa! They make games for the Vita?
Occasionally, most of them are digital only. So. I don't think they sell retail copies of Virtue's Last Reward.
Why did nobody tell me this?
For the Vita, at least. I haven't seen one in my local game store. Quick search. Amazon. This is educational, guys.
The internet. It's good for shit.
Because I have not seen a retail copy of the sequel on shelves. Which would be sad, because I know there's some people who only play physical copies. Okay, I'm on Amazon. Here it is on the 3DS. No, it doesn't look like it has a physical Vita release. So if you want to play it on the Vita, you have to get it digital, to my knowledge, to my Google. Doesn't that suck, man? The Vita gets some good games, and there are people who just won't play them because they're not physical.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
I mean, I understand.
Says Future Man John from the digital time of internet download freedom. Go.
I understand that people want to have the collection. I get that. I mean, I used to be that way. I just couldn't do it.
Dude, I don't have the space for a collection anymore.
Yeah.
I have one of those, and it's like, I don't know where I'm going to put this shit.
And also because of this job, I can never stick with a game long enough to justify keeping it. Like, I'll just, like, give it to someone or something. I don't know. It's just, like, I'm always on to the next game. I beat 2 or 3 games a week.
I remember those days.
This shit cray. I'm playing... What am I playing now? I installed The Walking Dead, so I'm gonna catch you up there. And
you and I can mutually weep and or commiserate over gross out scenes.
Yeah. And I'm actually getting my backlog under control, not in the sense that I've played all these games, but I've obtained them.
Yeah.
So there's the backlog experiment of being a gamer is 2 parts. There's getting all of the games and then playing all the games.
I still need to finish Dishonored, and I feel like such an asshole because I really, 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 really like it. But I allowed myself to be distracted by a fucking malfunctioning Assassin's Creed 3, and now I'm, like, derailed.
I gotta play Dishonored too. That's my copy's digital. So
It's so good. It's really good, you know? Like,
Speaking of good and Dishonored, our Game of the Year post for Blister Thumbs Writers went up. I was just curious, Johnny, you picked XCOM, I picked Journey. Do you think this was a better or worse year than last year, which we both were doing this? So we've only been doing this 2 years, so.
I like, just for games in general?
Yeah.
I think this was a better year. I think this was a better year for games. I feel like the games that we got this year were more varied. I felt like there was something for everybody. You know, we saw the indie game rise to a certain level of acceptance in the industry, not being outliers anymore. You know, like not really being this kind of like, oh well, you know, but it's indie. You know, it stopped being like hipster and cool and edgy to be into indie games. You know, there was a certain legitimacy that has been offered. We saw the rise of Kickstarter, which, I mean, I know that we haven't seen like many of the Kickstarter games come to fruition, but you can't deny that it's an exciting, interesting thing that's happening in the industry. You know, we saw amazing RPGs, we saw fantastic action games, we saw reboots, we saw strategy games, we saw lots of stuff. You know, like it may be that, say, last year, the cream of the crop may have been better than the cream of the crop this year, because like I'm still blown away by The Witcher 2 last year. That was like, that game has catapulted itself to maybe possibly like one of my top 3 games of all time. You know. But I feel like that last year we had a less varied stable of games to choose from. And I feel like this year there was something for everybody. You know?
I agree in a lot of the ways of that you just said. Like, I think the rise of indie, I think the diversity of everything has really come forward. I like the cultural shift this year in a lot of ways, just that we are being more accepting and having, you know, we're addressing more tastes. But I think I would have to say that just if you just take the games, like if you said, oh, I could have all the best games from 2011 or all the best games from 2012, I think I would go with Mortal Kombat, Witcher 2, Skyrim, Portal 2, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Batman Arkham City. I don't know. I feel like Journey, Walking Dead, XCOM, those are good.
Yeah.
Great even. But I just don't feel like they bring quite as much flash as perhaps last year's lineup.
Yeah, last year I think we had more focused brilliance. This year I feel like we have a wider pool to draw from.
I think we can also say it's a transitionary period this year because we have the console generation coming to an end and the new thing.
Yeah. You know, I think 2013 is going to be an interesting time.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna there's a couple of ones that I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to Watch Dogs. I want to see what Ubisoft has in plan for that. I'm really looking forward to Metro Last Light. I want to see Obsidian Entertainment. I want to see them hit their stride. I want to see Stick of Truth, and I want it to be fucking funny. I want it to be like amazing. I want their Project Eternity game to just like fucking knock it out of the park. I want to see Double Fine have successes with The Cave and Double Fine Adventure. I'm not like the biggest Gearbox fan in the world, but I'm willing to give Colonial Marines the benefit of the doubt, even if they have no fucking business going back to LV-426, because Hadley's Hope got nuked off the face of that fucking planet. BioShock Infinite, Tomb Raider, you know, like I think 2013 is gonna be pretty fucking exciting.
Yeah, I think we already did Sean actually on Thumb Wars did a most anticipated games of 2013 feature. So I'm not gonna name them all, but I'm definitely excited for next year. As we were making this list, which for the record, I was planning about writing about Kid Icarus Uprising. Actually, I put it in the image here. Okay, just tangent. If you go look at the image for the Game of the Year article we did, I think it was Kid Icarus, Mark of the Ninja,
Pandaria. There was Pandaria, Miss Pandaria. Which, why Miss Pandaria?
Johnny, here's the story. I made up that image before everyone had their picks selected. So I
Did
was
we just
kind of,
assume that Oda was going to choose Miss Pandaria?
exactly, yeah. I was like, okay, Oda's probably going to pick Warcraft because he's Oda. I'm probably going to pick Kid Icarus. I think Gabe's going to pick Mark of the Ninja. And then I was like, okay, Halo's the joke one, right? I'll throw that in there. People will be like, Halo, I thought that game sucked. And then they'll come in and be like, oh, there's no Halo here. I was fooled. But the way
so the Halo was actually in there.
was the only one in the image that we ended up writing about. Gabe defected from Mark of the Ninja at the last second. I ended up writing about Journey because no one else was, I felt, was up to the task. And Oda went for Halo because he's an idiot. No, he doesn't listen to this podcast. He doesn't care. No, I ended up, at first I was like, what, are you out of your tiny little mind, Halo 4? But he made some points. The idea, I think, behind that was this isn't the best games of the year list. It was kind of the year in review. It'll be what we remember looking back on 2012. And I think Halo 4 is a super important game when we're going to look back in 20 years on IP changing hands. When something goes from one studio to another, people are going to say, here are the benchmarks of that transition. Halo 4 is one. It's always going to be. Because from Bungie to 343, people are going to have opinions.
Yeah, it's pretty sensitive.
Yeah, we didn't, neither our video reviewer or our writer cared for Halo 4, but there are plenty of people who did. So it's going to be an important part of history. So
you know, I got to admit, you know, because I did choose XCOM, but I would like to elaborate on this a little bit. I really struggled about whether or not to choose Dishonored for Game of the Year as well. Like, I mean, XCOM did some things that I'm really happy about, and I think that it's great that it brought strategy gaming to the console, and that it, you know, like, it brought user-created plot and moments, and, you know, like everything that happens in the game is at your fingertips because of it. But, you know, like, Dishonored, man, Dishonored does a lot of the same things in a very amazing way. You know, it was so... The level design in Dishonored is just fantastic in the sense that it's like literally if you fucking see something, it's like you can go there. You know,
I think did we have this conversation before, Johnny? I feel like we did that. We were talking about Dishonored, and the point I think I made was that in a couple of years when we have like Dishonored 3 or 4, we just won't look back on the first one as fondly. Where XCOM, I think, will always kind of stand as like when strategy games got a second chance.
Yeah, you might be right about that, and I mean that is certainly, I think, why I wound up like coming down on XCOM, because it did a couple of things that have been considered to be like really, really difficult, you know, like rebooting a franchise properly, and bringing strategy games back in a way that, you know, was I think alive. You know, a very sort of like vital way to bring strategy games back to the forefront, you know. So, but I don't want people to think that I was like, oh, XCOM, because I'm like a huge XCOM fanboy or something like that. I really did kind of like, you know, I was like, ooh, XCOM Dishonored. So.
And I think it has to be said that there was quite a few other games that were minds were changed at the last second. I believe. Robert H. was going to write about Virtue's Last Reward, the sequel to 999 that I mentioned, and then he ended up writing about Persona 4 Arena, which I think was a brilliant choice because not only is it an amazing game that continued the story of another amazing game, it was also the perfect intersection of accessibility and depth. And I think when it comes to fighting games, there's a certain like hardcore contingent who kind of make other new players feel unwelcome. So I think it's really important for the future of that genre that there be titles like Persona 4 Arena that kind of welcome people in with comprehensive tutorials and kind of auto combo systems to get you feeling like you're doing something right out of the gate. So there's that. What other? There was a couple other ones. James was originally going to write about Ashura's Wrath before he switched to Paper Mario.
Yeah.
I might have actually preferred Ashura's Wrath, not because I think it's a better game, it isn't, but the DLC debacle with Ashura's Wrath might stand as a testament to when that idea died. When you charge full price, when you charge like, you know, real money for the ending of a game, I feel like you deserve a certain level of infamy that we might have needed to canonize.
That's about as shady as you get right there.
So Paper Mario might have been the most memorable experience for him and the best portable game of the year. And once again, not a best games of 2012, just kind of the memorable ones. But I think Ashura's Wrath might be an omission from our feature, considering it's fucking ballsitude, dude. How can you? And then again, I think we gave Capcom quite a thrashing on the biggest disappointments feature. Sean ran on Thumb Wars, so they got their day.
Did you? I haven't had a chance to listen to that. Did you talk about Syndicate?
No, I think we talked. I think our big points were Capcom in general, gamer overreaction, specifically on Mass Effect and Devil May Cry, which is also Capcom. So Capcom got double lashing. We talked about the Vita, Epic Mickey 2, and Papa Io. I think were our 5 points.
Syndicate can fucking suck it.
Well, I think the sting of Syndicate was somewhat mitigated by XCOM, because then you have the do's and don'ts of rebooting a franchise. If you look at how,
it's a pretty clear.
It's a stark contrast. And what happened to EA today? The news that came out today: EA has been officially knocked off of NASDAQ's top 100 companies.
That's right.
And 2K is on the move. I feel like the writing on the wall couldn't be clearer. You treat franchises with respect. You make fully featured brave games, or you suffer. If you churn out kind of bland shooters and put old names on them, people are going to call your crap. This is the internet age. So we're going to recognize and we're going to spread the information. That's kind of what we're here for.
People know what's going on.
Can you believe they're still charging quite a bit for Syndicate, at least on Origin?
Fucking Electronic Arts, man. Oh, we're not going to cheapen IP, but by the way, this one day, like Thanksgiving, we're going to have like a huge fucking sale. You can buy things for like $10, but just this once, even though we're not cheapening IP.
I think it's hilarious because I actually just picked up, don't laugh, I picked up Final Fantasy 13-2.
Yep.
Because it was like $10. I was like, that game came out like earlier a couple months ago, right? Like,
Austin, if you wanted to be hurt for $10, I would have stepped in there for you. In fact, I would have only charged you like $5.
I tell you, it's a good thing we don't work in an office together. The sexual harassment lawsuits would be ridiculous.
We'd have to get a lawyer on retainer who would simultaneously both advise the prosecution and also be the defense. Yeah.
It's not. Our conduct is unprofessional, but pretty hilarious, I would have to say. Yeah, it's funny though, because I think Square Enix noticed that no one liked their shitty games and was like, "I'm sorry, here's a discount." And EA is like, "Our shitty game is worth way more." And you see the fallout from that. Square is doing better. They had been hemorrhaging money. They're shoring it up a little bit, at least the last time I checked. So,
well, they're like, we talked about this on the podcast the other week. Their sort of Western games division, if that's what you want to call it, is really showing some impressive initiative. I'm really, I was kind of vacillating a little bit on Tomb Raider when we were seeing all the footage and people were complaining about how rapey. It was looking at GDC or E3 or whatever, and I'm I don't know. But then I my experience last year with Deus Ex Human Revolution, my experience this year with Hitman Absolution, and I haven't had a chance yet to play Sleeping Dogs. In fact, I really wanted to give Sleeping Dogs a chance before I listed off Game of the Year, because I think it deserved some attention, at least. But I'm not saying that I think it would have stormed it, but everything that I've seen has been pretty positive. So it seems to me like their Western Games division is doing good.
I'm actually planning a little bit of a Japanese crime marathon here. I have Yakuza 4 and Sleeping Dogs in the pile. They're happening. So
yeah,
and I like I like their style. I played the zombie spin-off Yakuza Dead Souls, and I was like, I gotta see these characters in an actual serious setting because they're pretty fucking cool. So yep. I'm hoping that turns out well. But I think the last thing we should mention, looking forward, I don't know if this has been stated on the site before with all the excitement about other games, but Grand Theft Auto 5, is there going to be any competition next year when it comes to Game of the Year? I feel like that's kind of already been decided, unless that game super tanks.
I don't know,
I'm not saying it's going to be great. I'm saying the way the hype machine works, is there any, I don't know, is there a chance for anything else?
I think so. I think so. I think we've got a couple of sleeper titles waiting in the wings that might steal it. It all depends on Rockstar, right?
I guess. I don't know. I worry. I think the VGA showed some initiative this year in diversifying and giving some props where they were due. But I worry about advertising dollars. I worry about fan pressure. I worry about hype. So, I mean, it's not a super big deal. I think this kind of ties in with something I was talking to about with Robert, I believe, yesterday. The box art debacle for BioShock Infinite. It's like...
Yes.
BioShock Infinite's artwork is bad, but it doesn't really matter. I guess it's just box art, but does it? I don't know. There is no easy answer. Is it a reflection of our culture? And if so, is that important? I don't know. I don't know if you want to get into it right now, but
I don't really pay attention. I'm just sort of like
digital, right? So you don't see the boxes.
Box art, woo.
Yeah, okay. That's the thing though. Some people are like super upset about it. Some people are like, it doesn't matter. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm like, it concerns me, but I'm not losing any sleep over it.
Yeah.
If you get, I'm like, I could be better. I see why they're doing it. I'm not particularly happy about it. We're moving on, I guess. But on the final note, have you seen the box art for Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance?
Yes, I have.
Hardcore as shit. That is the coolest thing.
It's pretty much, I mean, if I was going to take a visual representation of Revengeance, I think it captures all of that.
Yeah. Kudos to whoever designed that. That's good stuff.
Yeah. That's art. I don't know art, but I know what I like, and I like that.
Is box art news? I feel hesitant to...
No, it's not news.
Because when they revealed the Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance box art, I didn't post it as a news article because I was like, it's not really news. I want people to see it. I don't know.
I'm really stickly. I'm a real stickler myself for what I consider to be news. There are some articles that go up on blistered thumbs, and I'm like,
Yeah, I try to keep a balance, right? I want to get the information out there if it's important to, even if it's not important to me, if it's important to other people, I want to exposure to it. But I also don't want to, if we can just be serious, if we can be real for a second here, there's the shooting that happened last week. Even though it has nothing to do with video games, people were making it into a video game story. They're saying, oh, he played Dynasty Warriors. Oh, Jack Thompson's coming out of the woodwork. He wants to start shit again. Every site was reporting on, Mass Effect was having their Facebook page bombarded by angry whatever. I didn't report on this, and I asked some people on Twitter. They kind of backed me up. They said it's not news, don't report it. But I do feel like we might be missing out on that cultural conversation or getting left out of the loop. I don't give a shit about traffic or advertising dollars. None of that matters to me, so I don't care about that part. If I did, I would have put up articles. But I want to know is it worth having the conversation to alienate the people who don't want it on their game site? I don't know. I kind of want to hear what the listeners have to say. Is it appropriate? And if it's not, would it bother you if other people got that content? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I hear you. I was just talking a little bit more neutrally. Last week, I think somebody posted up the Pacific Rim trailer as a news article. I was like, what the what?
Yeah.
What is that doing here?
Okay, let's diffuse the situation and talk about that for a second. It's not video game related, but it's ridiculous and it's kind of awesome. If you guys haven't seen this trailer, it's a movie produced by Guillermo del Toro, which is essentially Gundam versus Cthulhu with a GLaDOS robot lady. I think it is Ellen McLean, the same.
It is Ellen McLean, yeah.
And they might have actually gotten permission from Valve. I don't know if I saw confirmation of that. That is the word I'm hearing.
Presumably they would have to. I mean, it's the same goddamn character.
And as I think Sean quoted me in the article, if they got permission from Valve to use GLaDOS in the movie, that makes it canon in Portal. And if it's canon in Portal, it's canon in Half-Life. And what is Half-Life about? It's about portals opening up and monsters coming into our dimension. That is what Pacific Rim is about. This is a Half-Life movie. We got a Half-Life movie adaptation. It just happens to have giant robots in it.
As long as Gary Oldman is in it, with his beard and his glasses, I'll be like, fucking Gordon Freeman!
But, I mean, actually, now that I think about it, Half-Life did have a giant robot. It was Dog.
Yep, that's true.
So, I mean, it's Half-Life, the movie. It happened, guys. Should that be the title? The Half-Life the movie? Because it's a thing. I don't know if people are prepared to call it that. I am. I'm on the train. It is moving.
I just didn't think it had any business, on a video game site.
Yeah. That's the thing, though. I don't know. You see...
Because I'm elitist like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not news.
You're a hipster. Well, that's the thing. That's why we are on all volunteer site, and other sites have offices in San Francisco. It's because they will report cosplay as if it was news, and we won't. So maybe we should stop that. What do you think?
Yeah. Fuck cosplay.
Wait, what? That was the opposite of what I was asking you.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I disagree with everything that you say. No. What? What's going on?
That was actually controversy. I don't know if we want to rip open that wound, but apparently there was an idea that cosplay wasn't legitimate fandom or something, and people were all butthurt about that.
What, legitimate fandom? Oh, God.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Is that, there's such a thing as illegitimate fandom? I realize that there's such a thing as pandering.
If you're pretending to like something for attention, I don't know. I don't want... Oh, God.
Fuck's sakes. Really?
The box is open. The genie is out. Everyone run.
Yeah, no kidding. This conversation must end.
Yeah, so... There are things. I liked last week's podcast. We got a good thread going of people saying where they listen to the podcast. I like that kind of interaction. I want to talk to our audience more. So if you have an opinion on what is and what isn't news, and if it bothers you to see what you consider not to be news, because I don't know. I want to bring everybody everything they want, but I don't want to piss off people who don't want it. So there's a balance. I need to find it, so I want to hear from you. That's my spiel.
I agree with Leon.
He has been super talkative today. It's really rude of him to leave the podcast because of an emergency that has nothing to do with us and then just babble through the whole thing.
Yeah, just take the topics and run away with them completely. We just haven't been able to keep focus. I mean, we've almost been talking about video games.
I don't know if our kind of banter makes it more focused or if it makes us self-indulgent. Now we have no one to anchor us in reality and we're just going off in our own direction. I
do kind of feel a little bit more self-indulgent in this podcast than some of the others we've done.
You know what that means?
Ice cream time?
I wish. Do you have any?
I might.
Okay, send it to me as an attachment.
All right. I will scan the ice cream for you.
You can't put it in the body of the email. It has to be an attachment.
Absolutely.
It's like a caveman, and then we can end this.
Fire good.
Fire very good.
Fire good, scary. Scary fire, tame, warm, hungry.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Oh, jeez.
Caveman, bye-bye.
Okay. You ever see the old Saturday Night Live skit with the Cro-Magnon caveman lawyer guy?
I don't think so.
Culture, man. Remember when Saturday Night Live used to be good?
Well, you see, this is the thing, is that Saturday Night Live actually goes from great to bad to great to bad to great to bad. But the thing is that it's depending on how old you are at a certain time, that's where your cycle begins.
Huh. See,
for me, when I first started, when I was first, staying up late on Saturdays and watching, Saturday Night Live, it was, back in the 80s, it was, Mike Myers and Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon and, and I was like, oh, man, this is awesome, this is fucking hilarious, I love these guys. And then, the generation that came right after that was Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry, and when that happened to me, I was like, what, fuck, these guys suck compared to the people that I loved. But there's so many people that started watching Saturday Night Live with Will Ferrell, and they're like, oh my god, Will Ferrell's so fucking funny. And then immediately afterwards, the people that came after them, I was like, hey, wow, Saturday Night Live is getting funny again. But then, all these other people who would grow to love, the interlopers were like, oh, fucking Saturday Night Live sucks now. It's
I don't
weird.
know if that's is that a wider cultural thing? 'Cause I don't know if I've ever observed that. And also my experience is I really liked John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd and all the beginning, Gilda Radner, all this. And then I don't like anything after that point.
All right. Yeah.
So
okay.
I don't know if I'm the outlier or you are. I assume it's me.
I don't know, but I've noticed this with people. That the it's kind of like a Doctor Who thing where like your first Doctor Who is the best. You're like, I started watching Doctor Who when blank, and he's the best Doctor. Saturday Night Live is kind of like the first Saturday Night Live that you're exposed to is like the greatest. That's something I've observed.
I'm gonna disagree with you again there because my first Doctor was Eccleston. He's not my favorite. I've watched so much Doctor Who now. I kind of hate it, and I watched all of Torchwood.
Yeah, Torchwood's a mistake.
It's so bad.
It is.
So terrible. I've had this conversation. I don't even know if I'm going to leave this in the recording. I have to get this off my chest. The protagonist of Torchwood, Gwen Cooper, is the most vile person, the most vile human being in the history of fiction.
Is that so?
I think I find everyone in the cast detestable, but her.
I only got through first series of Torchwood. I didn't watch beyond that. So is it like?
So it gets so bad.
Because the first series was pretty bad.
No, I watched every episode up until it ended. It was pure masochism at some point. I was like, I have to see if these people die. I have to. There's no other way I can live with myself. And
did they die?
A lot of people died.
That's good.
So, and they get a lot of people killed, and they're all just selfish, terrible, like, jerks. And there's quite a few instances of like questionable. Like in the first episode, like the guy basically like date rapes two people, like the main character, not the main character, one of the main cast, like date rapes two people. Like, is that okay? Are these our heroes?
No.
So, fuck, right? Holy
yeah.
crap! I gotta watch better TV. I got sucked into the Doctor Who vortex, and it has left me with nothing but pain.